Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reds Rundown podcast, hosted by two lifelong Reds fans and journalists. I'm Rob, he's Joe, and we appreciate you taking the time to join us. And as always, Joe, we start off with a little, hey, how's it going? How was your weekend?
That was good. Good Easter. Got the draft coming up this week, so a lot of sports content to follow. NHL and NBA playoffs. And Rob, the Reds seem like they're settling in a little bit.
Yes, they are starting to figure things out a little bit. We had an opposite week of the previous weeks in terms of hitting and pitching, so we will go over that. We'll also go over some injury updates for players like Tyler Stevenson. And then we'll get into the Marlins and the Rockies, Joe, because we've got 6 very important games in my mind coming up this week. So, yeah, we'll do our question of the day as always as well. What do you think of Austin Hays? Joe, let us know in the comments section below. I have a feeling that people are going to be pretty happy about him. So I know I'm excited to talk about him. I know you are as well. It should be a fun show in that regard. But let's hop into the week here. Everything started off with the Mariners on Tuesday. As a reminder, we had the Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. The Reds would go on to win on Tuesday 8-4. Big home run by Austin Hays in his first game back. Gavin Lux would also go 4 for 4 with 2 RBIs. Hays would have 4. Ellie would add 1 RBI himself. Matt McLain came back and walked 3 times, Joe. But the biggest part of the story, not biggest, but biggish, and something that we'll see throughout the week, is that Nick Lodolo wouldn't make it through 5 innings. He gave up 5 hits, 4 earned runs, only 1 walk, 6 strikeouts. The strikeouts were back. But he did give home runs up to his new nemesis, Dylan Moore. The rest of the bullpen would lock it down, though, for him, so he wouldn't have to worry too much about that. The return of Alexis Diaz as well during this game, Joe, who would struggle, but would not give up any runs as he would get saved by none other than Graham Ashcraft. We move on to the Wednesday game. The Reds would drop it, unfortunately, to the Mariners. They were down 4-0 early. Nick Martinez struggled as well. 3 walks, 4 strikeouts. They would try to bring it back, but ultimately would not be able to, as Taylor Rogers would give up another run as well. But the Reds would get hits from just about everybody in the lineup, but they just could not seemingly get the runs in. We would head to the Thursday game, and this one was a bummer of a game. The Reds were down early again, 4-0. Brady Singer couldn't get through the 5th inning. He did also strike out 6, but walked 3. The bullpen would mostly hold it down, but Tony Santillan would give up some late runs as well. But the Reds would try to climb back in it. They'd score 4, in the 8th inning, with home runs by Austin Hays and Jake Fraley, who hit his first home run of the year there in the 8th inning. But we would have an epic meltdown. Emilio Pagan and Graham Ashcraft would struggle mightily. The Reds also could seemingly not play defense on this day. It was a very frustrating day, to say the least, as the Reds would drop it in 10 specifically. But it was on to Baltimore, and we'll talk about that in a second. So don't worry about that too much. But, Joe, give me your thoughts on the Mariners series. It was a weird one, to say the least.
Yeah, it was almost like there was so much hope after the first game, after beating Luis Castillo, former Red, that we were like, okay, we can take one of these last 2. And then those stats start coming up about, we lose that second game, and then the stats come out about how bad the Reds are in rubber matches series. And it's not good for the last year or so. And that game, the way it went, like, I really thought it was a big moment for Jake Fraley hitting that grand slam and getting us the lead. And you're thinking, all right, we're going to go in this, win this, and have 2 out of 3 against the Mariners. And it just didn't happen that way. There were some questionable calls with the strike zone, and it comes to especially Graham Ashcraft that may have cost him. But at the end of the day, it felt like the offense finally did something like, in a clutch situation to kind of give us the lead, and the bullpen didn't hold up. I'm not going to hold it against the bullpen too much because for the most part it's been pretty good this season, but after that first series this week, you're thinking, oh, here we go again with the Reds. They have a good game in that game 1, and then all of a sudden they come back down to earth. And maybe we're fearing for the worst if you were watching those Reds games.
Yeah, it was interesting because, the guys who had been very reliable all year so far, Tony Santillan, Emilio Pagan, and Graham Ashcraft, they accounted for 7 of the runs given up at the end of the game. The middle relievers that kind of found their stride there, Taylor Rogers, Ian Jabot, Alexis Diaz also had an okay. He was bailed out a little bit on a pickoff move by himself, but I forgot that Fraley's was a grandie, but this team, yeah, it felt like they'd fought back against a good team and against good pitching. Even Emerson Hancock, I know he wasn't great heading into this, but this series, at least in general, they faced pretty good pitching, and it felt like they probably should have won at least 2. Maybe you don't win that middle match, but rubber matches, big time blowouts to say the least.
Yeah, and just one more note about this, Rob. I think I mentioned this to you on a call, but I don't think I've ever seen a home run as high as Cal Raleigh's second home run in that game.
Oh my
In the
lord!
second game of the
Yeah,
series. That was so, and honestly, like, very good player, the big dumper. Gotta love the nickname too. But like, that was really cool to see that high home run, even though it was against the Reds. And yeah, they did a good job in this series of avoiding in certain areas Ellie and Matt McClain and making other people beat them, and they couldn't in a lot of times. But we couldn't beat Dylan Moore, we couldn't beat Cal Raleigh, so we
yeah,
didn't
which
do
is
the greatest
wild.
job of avoiding their big hitters, including Randy Rosarina as well too. So it was, I think, more of the Mariners executed the game plan a little bit better than we did as well.
Yeah, I mean, their guys aren't necessarily hitting all that much better than us. It just was a weird series to say the least. But as I said before, we are on to Baltimore, and the bats got hot this weekend. Joe, Friday, the Reds would win 8-3. They were down 1-0 early, but they would go on to post 3 and 4 runs in the third and the fourth innings. Ellie De La Cruz with a home run. Candy hit an absolute shot. Matt McClain would end up having a big home run as well. His first, I think, hit since coming back from the IL. So it's very good to see that as well. Austin Hays continued to hit, as a quick reminder there. But another big part of the story, Joe, was Andrew Abbott. He did what he pretty much always does. He gave up a solo home run. I think I tweeted that Andrew Abbott's going to give up 26 home runs this year, but they're all going to be solo home runs. So that is fine, I guess. I really don't have a problem with it. But he struck out 11. He has been absolutely dominant, truly dominant since coming back. All of you who questioned whether or not Abbott was going to be in the rotation, you should make yourselves known for some verbal flogging, because there's just no reason why this man was not going to make it into this rotation. I don't really care who else you thought that they would be bringing in or how it would work. I don't care how much they're paying Nick Martinez. Andrew Abbott deserves to be in this rotation, and he's already showing it again this season, Joe. So great job there in Game 1. Game 2 was another weird one. The Reds would get up early. You had another home run by Jake Fraley. Austin Hays would also hit one later in the game. But Hunter Green had his worst outing of the year. Could not get through the even fourth inning. He got 3 innings, 6 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 home runs, 4 strikeouts to 2 walks. Carson Spires would come in as well, which was surprising. I don't know if we talked about this. I don't know if you heard anything about it. I unfortunately was sick, so I missed a good portion of this, but he would give up 5 hits on 4 runs, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs, and then would promptly go onto the IL, right after the game, basically. And he was expected to be the starter on Sunday, so it was a bit of a surprise, but the Reds could not hold back, as the Orioles bats would absolutely take Hunter Green to town. But then it did not matter, because the Reds would score 24 runs against the Orioles the next day. The Reds would win 24-2. It was a big day for everybody. A lot of these hits did come off of non-relievers, off of position players, really. But Brent Suter would get the start. Was he perfect? No, but Ellie De La Cruz helped to bail him out with one of the best plays I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Three innings, three hits, though, only one run not earned, with a strikeout for Mr. Suter. Randy Wynn would also get 3 innings of work, giving up a solo home run. But I'm going to quickly go through the hits and the at-bats and everything here. Joe, almost every single person got a hit. The only one who did not was our boy Santiago Espinal, but everybody else in the lineup got at least one hit. Ellie De La Cruz hit a big, massive home run. McLean had 2 hits. Hayes had 4 with a home run as well. Lux would continue to do his thing. 3 walks, 2 hits. Spencer Steer got a couple really nice hits that he needed big time. Jake Fraley with some more hits. But the big part was at the bottom of the order. Noelvi Marte would go 5 for 7, including a grand slam off of Jorge Mateo, the position player. Austin Wins would have 6 hits in 7 at-bats, 6 RBIs, including a home run as well. It was a grandiose day. The Reds were 15 for 25 with runners in scoring position. And it was a rout. Charlie Morton and Cody Poteet and old friend Sionel Perez could not stop the Reds' onslaught. So the Reds would put up, in this series alone, let me get the exact numbers here, 37 runs in 3 games. So pretty crazy. Joe, the Reds scored in every inning but the first and the 6th. They scored more than 1 run in 6 of the 9 innings as well. It was truly something to behold. 25 hits, 24 runs. It was a good series from the Reds, ultimately. I think if the pitching had been a little bit better for the Reds, I think they could have swept, honestly. I think if Hunter Green does what he's done literally every other game this season, I think the Reds go into Baltimore and sweep them under the rug. But they still finished the week at 11-11. Not too bad. Where are you at with this Baltimore series?
Yeah, I liked it because there was a lot of team baseball going on.
Mm-hmm.
Different ways, too. Like this last game, Rob, you mentioned every single starter got a hit in this game. Espinal came in as a pinch hitter at one point, so he's clear. I'm not going to count it against my favorite guy there. But
No.
Every starter gets a hit. You have multiple guys. Marte getting all those hits. Wynn's getting hits. You have the bullpen game with Suter getting the opener with 3 innings pitched and the 1 run not earned. But that was what was impressive to me was it was just like everyone played a little bit of a part of that game. And specifically the series, too, we saw guys. Jake Fraley hit one onto Utah Street. That was pretty well hit as well. And he seems to be heating up this past week, so that's really good for prospects for us and the offense in the future. We had Carson Spires come up, supposed to start the Sunday game. For Ladola, who's on paternity leave.
Yep.
Was on paternity leave. He eats a ton of innings. He goes straight to the injured list. Hey, you did your job. You're back on the injured list. That's great. And then you bring on Randy Wynn, and he comes up and he finishes out this game 24-2. Like, yeah, we're going to win that game no matter who you put on the mound. But appreciate him coming up and eating some innings for us because, we do have this Thursday off coming up, but our bullpen was taxed. That's why we did it. That's why we had our inning eaters in there, and especially proud of like Brent Suter, who hasn't pitched the most consistently this year. There's been times where he was has a week off and then he'll come in and just a lot of times where it's not the wisest to use the lefty the way things are right now with having to face 3 hitters at once. So before he can get pulled from a game, so I was very, very happy with all that. Last point I'll make is Gavin Lux. It seems like his luck is turning around. 319 batting average. We talked about it last week. A lot of things that weren't going for hits last week were going for hits this week. Not going to be the big power guy, but I think we needed a guy who could just get contact and keep on moving runners over after last year being such a boomer bust offense.
Well, not just that, but dude, this guy walks too. He sees so many pitches. He makes you work. Every bat feels like a grind against Gavin Lux, and I love that. We need so much of that. It's actually incredible. He does have 5 doubles, which isn't bad, but I don't know if he's going to hit more than 6 home runs this year, Joe, to be honest with you, even in Great American Ballpark. But if he keeps everything that he hits is solid contact, I don't have a problem with it. Like you said, a 319 batting average is absolutely nothing to scoff at. And he's walking, I don't know, once every other game or so right now, which is really impressive, to be honest with you. So, Really love what I'm seeing from him. The Reds' batting averages, by the way, now are pretty high. They went from being one of the worst in baseball to top 10 in OPS, I believe, just based off of the game yesterday, which is pretty crazy. But it was a great series for Baltimore, or for us in Baltimore. You know, we did get two good starts. I would have thought that one of those would have been Hunter Green. It was not. We'll talk about pitching here in just a minute. But overall, these are the two last really decent teams that we face for a while. And we talked about that last week. If you guys want to go check that out, we discussed just how bad a lot of the teams are that we are about to face. You're going to see that over the next couple weeks as Joe and I talk about it, even starting this week. But they needed to get through this part of the early part of the road trip. They needed to get through the Mariners, who I think are a lot better than their record shows, especially if they can ever get any hitting, which they got with us. So, and they did a little bit this weekend too. So, and they had a sweep, I think, coming into the series against us as well. Excuse me. So, overall, I'm very positive about the Reds from this past week. Let's talk real quick about injuries. I'm hearing, and it seems like, well, not that I'm hearing, it seems like everybody's hearing that, Tyler Stevenson should be back very soon, Joe. It sounds like he could potentially even be back next week, or maybe this week even. They feel like they are making their way towards that being the case. Like I said, we will talk about Stevenson here shortly, and the catching situation as well. But he should be coming back soon. Rhett Lauder should be pitching soon, from what you were able to find just a couple days ago when you and I were talking. He should be on a big league mound soon, or not big league, minor league mound here soon. Wade Miley as well. So the Reds are getting healthy, and I think that is absolutely huge for this team. We've already seen it so far. I think one of the things that I want to give quick credit for, just a thing that I just remembered, Terry not automatically giving Alexis Diaz the closer role right away is, I think, massive for this team. It shows that, he is here to win. It doesn't matter what you've done in the past. It matters what you're doing now. And I feel like we are already seeing that. That's the kind of accountability that I think a lot of players were hoping for with this managerial change. I feel like David Bell would have just slotted Diaz back into the closer role right away. I know Emilio has been a little shaky in his last few, with the San Francisco blow up and the Mariners blow up, but if he can't hold it down, I think they have Cincy on. I think even Graham could potentially be a guy like that in the future as well. I know he had a blow up, but I don't know. I mean, it's going to happen every so often for relievers, so it's just how many times you let that happen. You got to limit those. Or does Diaz, now that he's kind of figuring himself out a little bit as well, does he work his way back into it? I'm not that confident in that. His velo's down. I don't think his stuff is moving as well. He might be a middle reliever now, maybe a solid one, which I think is fine, honestly. But I wanted to give Terry some credit there. Joe, let's talk about the pitching, though, in general. 4 of our 5 starters could not make it through the 5th inning this week. That is Lodolo, that is Mr. Nick Martinez, Brady Singer, and Hunter Green. After such an immaculate start, are you worried at all about pitching? It was a rougher week for this team. Their ERA is still top 5 in baseball as a team, though. So I do want to throw that out there.
Yeah, short answer is no.
Okay.
You're gonna have your issues with Nick Martinez still needing to figure it out, but I don't know what else I'm supposed to be upset about. Like, the bullpen's been incredible. We keep on slowly weeding out people who aren't producing, so I don't know what that'll happen to Nick Martinez moving to the bullpen or anything. Sam Moll obviously went on the injured list, so we got him out of there after he had the rough spring and start to the season. But I really don't see any issues. If you're thinking short term, no, there's no worries. If you're thinking long term about possibly the longevity of our young starters and how they haven't always been able to make it through a full season or have injuries or arm fatigue at the end, sure, that's a concern, but we have guys coming back that should help. I have limited doubts about our starters other than Martinez, and I have limited doubts about the bullpen. And I think if you look across the league, we are in a very good spot. If you look across the league, and there's tons of guys, even on good teams, like you look at The Giants, with we faced twice already this year. Verlander is having a terrible year.
Mm-hmm.
Robbie Ray has an ERA above 4, and like they're trusting a lot of guys who aren't pitching that well, and they have the offense to kind of make up for it. I'm still more worried about the offense. It's just never been consistent in the last several years. Getting Austin Hays back has been a huge jump, but that is still a bigger concern to me because I think our pitching has been more consistent, and I could very easily see us going on a slump this week when we don't need it because we need to win a lot of these games this week, uh, just because we seemingly can't keep things together, and we're still having very bad at bats and having players that maybe shouldn't be getting all the at bats still getting a lot of at bats.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think the pitching is going to be fine. I want to remind everybody again, even if you're like me and you need facts, cold hard facts, not just feeling, right? Again, Reds are top five in ERA. They are second in average against with a 201 batting average against still, Joe. They are also second in whip. By the way, they're second in batting average against by .002, and the Rangers have them in whip by .01. So realistically, you could say that the Reds and the Rangers, funny enough, Tyler Mahle, old friend over there, is doing some big things for the Rangers. Good for him. But I will be honest with you, Joe. We have one of the best pitching staffs in baseball right now, regardless of how people feel. Yes, was it a little bit of a tougher weekend or week for them? Yes. I mean, they gave up 4 runs, 5 runs, 11 runs, 3 runs, 9 runs, and then 2. So generally a up and down roller coaster of a weekend, a week for them. But they're heading into a bunch of really bad lineups, Joe. Some of the worst lineups in baseball, to be honest with you. I cannot emphasize this enough. There are some horrible lineups that we are facing, some much worse lineups than us. And if our pitching staff can be what they have been, I think the Reds are going to be just fine. Let's talk about our catchers real quick, Joe, because I know that this was something that, I was personally a little worried about. We've got Tyler Stephenson's returning very soon. We have Jose Trevino. We have Austin Wynns. They are both playing exceptionally well. The pitchers are pitching as well as they could. For the most part, they are holding runners on, I think, in a very big way. But the biggest surprise has been their bats. I'm going to give you guys their stat lines real quick. Trevino, 318 with a 375 on base, a 500 slugging for an OPS of 875. 1 home run, 5 RBIs, 4 walks to 4 strikeouts. He is making contact. This guy is not striking out. He is a battler. You see him up there battling every plate appearance. Austin Wynns, slightly inflated by the 24-run game, but a 455 batting average, a 500 on base percentage, a 727 slugging. That's good for a 1227 OPS, which is outstanding. 2 home runs, 9 RBIs, 2 walks to 7 strikeouts. Now, these guys are not going to do this all season, Joe, but I do just want to point out their combined at-bats so far this season, it would be 72 at-bats. That would be third most on the team. 66 at-bats. That would be fifth most. I keep seeing Austin Hays and Austin Wynns, and they're combining in my brain. But if you combine them, that's 24 hits, which would be tied for TJ Friedl for the most. They would have 5 doubles, almost all of them are for Trevino. You'd have 3 home runs, 14 RBIs, which would be second on the team. And they have only struck out a combined 11 times, which is as many as TJ Friedl and Jake Fraley. Combined, they are an outstanding, potentially the best catcher in baseball right now, statistically. I think they would be. Separated, they are potentially the best hitting catcher duo in baseball right now, Joe. I don't really know. I can't 100% confirm that, but I don't know if you have 2 guys hitting over 300 at the catching position very often. And again, these are guys who are better known for their defense, especially with Trevino. So what are you going to do when Tyler Stephenson comes back up, Joe? Are they going to carry 3 catchers? Like, how do you send Austin Wynns down if he keeps doing this every third day?
Yeah, it's got to be three catchers. I honestly don't even understand an argument against it at this point. We're getting to that point. Some of it is based on the issues we have. CES is now not in the picture for right now on the
Hmm.
injured list. Steer is still strike. He had the 2 hits in that 24-2 game, so boosting his average there, which is good for him. But I think he probably needs to go on the IL and get a rehab start. So what else you want to do at first base? Like I think we use Stevenson as a first baseman when he comes back. I don't want him dealing with the oblique issue long term. If he has to catch, that could always linger. So I think if you get Stevenson back, you put him at first base, and honestly, and Wins and Trevino both played first base, very limited in their career, but there is a path where you can kind of switch guys around and keep everyone's fresh for catcher legs. But why not put Trevino at catcher to start? And put Stevenson at first, and put McLean at second, and put Elliott short, and put Espinal at third, and then you put Hayes and Friedel and Fraley in the outfield with Lux at the DH. IL Steer, get him ready because he's clearly not ready to play still. Then the bench is Wins, and then you have Candy, who I know we don't always like, but he is still has a role as possibly batting against left-handers because his right-handed swing has always been better than his left-handed swing. And
Hmm.
then you have Marte on the bench. You get Marte more at bats because there's less competition. And then you have Benson, maybe bring him up and have him be the last spot in that on that bench. And then you have two guys on different sides of the plate. You have Candy, who can hit the left-handers. You have Benson, who can hit the right-handers. And I think it's like a nice, more well-balanced bench, but also you get the bats in the lineup, which is the smart thing here. So I know Stevenson's not the greatest first baseman defensively. I don't think Candy's the best first baseman defensively anyway. And again, just like what's like with Steer, what's the other? Are we just going to let him keep on playing through this? It clearly isn't working. Rob, I heard him on the Jim Day podcast talking this past week, and he was saying that like this is like a re-aggravation of a high school injury. And to me, like that makes me think it's a lot more like it took him. They even said on the podcast like it was a lot of mental work to get over it. And now that it's back, and he finally got over it, but now that it's back, it's going to take a lot more mental work. So I think with those guys, with Steer and CES struggling so bad and probably shouldn't be starting players for the time being, give Stevenson the chance to play first base every day, carry the three catchers. If you need to rotate him in and out of the first base as you see fit, that's fine. You obviously have tried Espinal at first base too, so you have some insurance there, and you can still slide Marte into getting third base at bats as well. So it's good we have so many people who can play so many different positions, and that's what I would do because I can't take any more at bats from Spencer Steer or at bats from CES when he comes back or at bats from Andy, albeit I guess unless it's against lefties, which he's doing a little bit better against them, but still not great. That's what I would do. I don't think there's an argument for anything else. Like sending Wins down now when he's hitting this well is not good for the team, and playing other players who just aren't hitting the ball well aren't good for the team either. So it stinks. You never want to carry three catchers if you can help it, but this is a situation where I think it makes a ton of sense, and I just don't see what the other argument would be.
I think the other argument is that they're going to just end up sending Wins down. I don't think they should. I agree with you, but I think ultimately
Yeah.
that's what's just going to happen. They're not going to put Steer. They just got him playing first base again, and in his first base game, he actually hit. So maybe that helps his mental. Joe, I don't know. The weird part is like Steer has still been making contact. It's just that there's been no power behind it. And that's what's worrisome to me is like that feels like yips. That feels like a mental barrier that he has to get through. Because if he's good enough to be out there in the field and throwing, then he should be fine. He should be able to kind of get his bat through the zone like he always has. You know, I am of the opinion that like you have to reward guys who are playing well. I think you could keep Steer here, Joe. I just think you give him less at bats because you don't need because in your situation you had Will Benson come up and be that fourth guy. I think if Steer's going to be playing the outfield in your situation, they keep Stevenson, they play him at first, and Steer gets at bats either at first base or in the outfield. To give guys some pause. Like maybe when they're facing lefties, Fraley comes out, excuse me, and Steer goes in, right? Like maybe that's the case. You can't take Lux out of the lineup, right? Like no matter what, you can't. And I think Santiago Espinal deserves more at bats. I really do, and he's great defensively already. Anyways, no matter where you put him, he's been outstanding. So I agree with you. I think they need to keep three catchers. I just don't know that they will. And what's crazy is I heard the Cowboy talking about it, yesterday. He's like, what are you going to do? Because Stevenson's the best hitter of the three of them. And it's really not very close. I mean, I know these guys are hot right now, but I don't know. I think they'll look at wins and they'll say, like he got some hits, a couple of his bigger hits were against, guys who can't pitch. So they were just taking batting practice at that point. But it's felt like he's hit all year. He really has so far, and it's a shame to see him getting sent down. It's going to end up happening that way, but I do agree with you. I think you should reward the guys who are hitting right now, and if you got to carry 3 catchers, do it. I mean, hell, I don't really care. Like, if you got to bat 2 of your 3 catchers every game because they're hitting, then you have a premium. Keep batting Austin Wins. If they have a third guy who they feel like could be okay if Stevenson gets hurt, again, then maybe you trade Wins for something. Like, I don't know, like, I don't want to say that should be what you should do. That's probably almost not the worst case scenario, but the weirdest case scenario, to be honest with you. But I'd rather have that third catcher, especially with a guy who gets hurt as often as Stevenson does, who can hit like this, who can play defense like this, who can help the pitchers do what they're doing. I don't know. It's a good problem to have, though. I will say that.
It definitely is. I really do hope they stick with the 3 catchers, and I do hope that Steer gets less playing time moving forward and possibly goes down AAA. He's costing the team games, to put it quite simply. Him, CES, Candy, all those hitters we talked about who batted 6 through 8 the last several weeks just haven't lived up to the pipe. And Fraley, we kind of give Fraley some time. He kind of came around, right? So he's now played up in 18 games, and that's like bigger than just a 10-game sample size. And like Steer's getting close to that too. He has 16 games played, and it's really cool that he got 2 hits in that game where everyone was hitting. He needs to lock in here soon. Otherwise, I do think that you can't play him every day for sure, and you possibly need to put him in AAA and let him figure this thing out. If it's going to be take a mental toll on him, I don't think you can have him try to figure it out at the major league level and have it cost the team. In the same way that I didn't think that CES should be taking all those at-bats either, just because I think it's costing the team. So that's going to be the interesting part, right? Like, there's definitely a Spencer Steer was really good for this team 2 years ago. Can he figure it out? Can he get better? That would definitely impact maybe the strategy of putting Stevenson at first base every day. But I kind of wonder if this is the situation where we have so many guys not hitting and the corner infield spots being not the greatest for different reasons. What was the point of making Stevenson a first baseman a couple years ago? Like, why was moving him to first base back then? Like, the whole thing is for his long-term health, which he has a health issue right now, and to possibly give the team more flexibility in the future. And we need it right now. We just do. So I know you're not arguing with me, Rob. I know you want to have 3 catchers and possibly run with that strategy, but I would just be very upset if Spencer Steer takes playing time away from one of these guys who's actually hitting right now. I want Spencer Steer to get back to what he was before. I'm not sure it's possible to do that while he's in the major league level. I think he does need to go down and just, find himself, find a swing, maybe take some time off, because, again, it's like we said the last couple of weeks, we were told that he's fine as a batter. Like, he was perfectly fine, but the contact is there, but the power isn't. There's no pop in his bat. He's the worst WAR on the team. Again, I know I said fuck WAR last year because it doesn't tell everything, but it does tell you some things. It does tell you some things, and him and CES were just by far costing the team way more than anyone else. Candy's very close to that right now as well, but that's what we got to figure out. So, Spencer Steer, no decisions being made today about this, obviously with Stevenson not coming back, but you have this week. You have, possibly 7 more games possibly here, or 6 more games, I should say, which will put you at like 22 games played if you play every day to figure it out and hit the ball. And if you start hitting the ball and do what you did this last game on Sunday, you earn more time and you still help the team. Because you're right, maybe Steer takes that last outfield spot and just kind of rotates in and out with the other guys. That'd be awesome. And then he maybe plays some first base too, and that's cool to give Stevenson some time off. But that's kind of where I'm at with it. It's just like, man, Spencer Steer was so good 2 years ago, and I want him back so bad. I don't know how much longer we can give him a chance, but I'll give him this week while we're waiting for Stevenson because we have nothing else we can do anyway.
Yeah, I mean there are a lot of decisions that'll be made soon. I mean the funny part is that Candy still has the worst batting average on the team. Even Hurtubise has a better batting average. I know is in much more limited at bats, but Lordy, I mean this is it's an interesting conundrum. I mean this team is gonna. If this team continues to find their hitting, right? If Jake Fraley can get back to being what he was a couple years ago as well, like if he's starting to find his power again, like he was on death row for you last week, Joe, and he decided to step up this week. So maybe it'll be Steer this week. But I guess the last thing I'll say about this, because we're going to head into our last topic before we head into the games of Austin Hays, Joe. I don't know what you're seeing there, but that's
hold on. Go ahead.
Okay.
Finish your thought, and then I'll do it before we get to Austin Hays. Scott.
But this team is starting to become what we thought they could be, right? And there was a piece that I think has been pivotal for that, because we're not even seeing Matt McClain hit right now. He's had a couple hits, but I don't even think he's fully all the way back yet. But this lineup is starting to come together. TJ Friedel's doing a great job at the top. Gavin Lux is giving them a really nice sandwich there at that 5 spot. If you have Fraley hitting in the back end, if you have your catchers hitting at the back end, if you bring Stevenson back and he starts hitting a little bit too, this Reds team, if their pitching holds up and this hitting can be even, I don't know, half of what it was on Sunday, a third really of what it was on Sunday, if this team can put up 5 runs a game for the rest of the year, the rest of the NL Central at least should be worried, because the Cubs have had major injuries recently. The Brewers do not look like the same team. The Cardinals and the Pirates are bad. This Reds team is about to, I think there's a chance that this Reds team is about to take off, and it's because the lineup is starting to figure it out. I think a lot of it has to do with Austin Hays, but it seems like you have something before we head into Hays.
Oh, you're 100% right. People can turn it around. He has this week. Steer definitely does. In my opinion, this whole year, it's been CES was the problem we needed to figure out first. We figured that out. Andy was second. We haven't figured that out yet, but like I said, maybe there's a role for him as a right-handed bench bat, because he is batting better right-handed. It's still not great, but he has power and everything. Shortly after that, it was Fraley. Fraley's played his way up and being better. Now it's Steer in the 3rd spot. So let's see if Steer can kind of get things going this week. I mean, I do think he can definitely figure it out. And if it is somewhat mental, I don't know how long it's going to take, but maybe it's just seeing more bats and getting more in a flow. So I think we've done a decent job of not, me and you personally, but also the Reds, not overreacting to players playing poorly, but also like knowing when it's over and like CES, like we need you to get better, buddy. Otherwise, it's never going to work.
Yeah.
And it might be this week we need to make that second, whether it is Candy, whether it is Steer, it might be the time we need to make the second move of like, hey, it's not working right now. Let's go fix you. Let's go get this better. So you're 100% right. Steer could easily get things better, just like Fraley did this past week.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see how they're going to handle it, but sorry, like I said, getting over sickness. All right. Austin Hays, Joe. The key, I would even say maybe, to this lineup, he makes them so much more dangerous. And we've already seen it. In 6 games since Austin Hays has come back, so this entire week, all the man did was get more hits than Matt McClain, Candy, CES, Steer, and Blake Dunn in a fraction of the at-bats for some of those guys. 3 home runs, 8 RBIs, 2 walks to 6 strikeouts, and an OPS of 1,253. So 1,000. Over 1,000. And a 429 batting average. And I'm going to tell you right now, Joe, this guy looks like he has arguably the second best swing on the entire team. Not just like because he's hitting well. I mean, his swing has pop. It's got power. He is going to probably strike out a pretty decent amount. He may strike out more than once a game on average. Maybe like 1.25, something like that. So he might be like a 170, 180 strikeout guy, whatever. But my goodness, he's hitting to both sides of the field. He is striking it with a purpose. It feels like he is playing with a fire under his butt. And I'll tell you what, Joe, if he's hitting even half this well, like if he's hitting in the 280s, by the time that we get towards the end of May, if I am the Cincinnati Reds, I'm reaching out to his representatives and saying, this guy is our solution in left field for the next 2 or 3 years. Let's get you under contract. They have the money to do so. They have needed a bat like this, a true bopper in the middle. I know that he had injury, history. I know he's never been like a 35 home run guy, but it feels like he is a very nice piece to a team that is needing one right now. And it feels like there aren't a lot of guys out there that are going to hit 35 home runs anyways. If this guy can hit 25 to 30 home runs a year for this Reds team, drive in 85 plus, sign me up, Joe, because he is absolutely hyped right now, and I love watching him play already. I think he's awesome.
Yeah, my favorite things this past week has just been like since I've known him a little bit, watching the Orioles the last several years, and seeing Reds fans kind of get to experience him and kind of like get to know him a little bit better, and seeing his like, the no batting gloves thing and hitting home runs,
Mm-hmm.
going nuts, rounding first and going to second, and it's been really fun to see. It's good for him to come back from the kidney infection. They had mentioned that they were being very cautious with him coming back just because they want to make sure he's 100% ready to go, and I'm very on board with that because I don't want any setbacks for him. But now that he's back, he is killing the ball. 3 home runs already, which is amazing. I will say too, I think that he is going to probably have his best season of his career here, assuming things go well. He was a guy that played like 130, 140 games for the Orioles and had some good years, but I think this could be a year that he hits, like you said, 280 because of the ballpark. As we mentioned before, Baltimore moved the left field fence back, and then they moved it up this year, and then Austin Hays hit it over the wall after they moved it up for him after he came back. So
That's
that's pretty
funny.
cool. And yeah, I think he's crucial. We said it this offseason, Rob. It could be one of the signings of all of the MLB offseason is Austin Hays to the Reds because of the impact he could have with this power in the middle of this lineup, and he's doing it. Pretty classy move by the Orioles fans as well to give him a standing ovation
Huge
and a
one.
curtain call, and it was pretty cool by them to do that and just honoring what he had been through as a player in the time in the city. And yeah, I'm excited. I think he is. Well, getting McLean back, McLean hasn't necessarily played the best, but like getting McLean back is a boost. This is like a huge shot in the arm to everything we've done, and it's
Mm-hmm.
making everyone else better too. Like we talked about how Lux's luck is turning around. You have to pitch him different because Hayes is in the lineup. Whether I think the first game Lux batted in front of Hayes, and then after that Hayes pretty much batted in front of Lux.
Yep.
You have to pitch Lux different. Lux will have chances to get runners on base. So we see the offense get a huge jolt, and it's easy to say like, "Hey, it's just because Austin Hayes bats in the lineup," but he's affecting every other person in the lineup as well. So I'm excited for him. I don't. I think he might cool off here in the next little bit, which is
Oh yeah.
okay because he's batting 429. He'll come down to a natural average of 264 is his career average, but like we'll figure it out. And honestly, if he hits 264 this year, I'm happy because that was way better than what we had last year, and we got him relatively cheap. So I'm excited for him.
I will say what's interesting to me, Joe, is during that injury plagued season, he had 5 home runs in 85 games, 235 at bats. He has 3 home runs in 6 games in 28 at bats. You could tell he is feeling better. He's feeling stronger. His swing is very powerful. I hate making this comparison because I think Reds fans are going to get maybe a little too hyped, but he reminds me a lot of Castellanos in just the sense, Joe, that he was a major doubles guy, right? Like, I know everybody's kind of like, oh, well, we want a 30 home run guy. He's never hit more than 22. But I will say during those seasons that you were talking about, right? When he was healthy and hitting well, his 2023 season, 275 batting average, 325 on base. He had an OPS of almost 800, right? He had 16 home runs, but he had 36 doubles. Like, that is an incredible amount of doubles. And a lot of those were because he was playing in that, really messed up left field that they had in Baltimore that was pushed back. So, like, you take away, I don't know, 6 of those, maybe. That seems probably pretty fair, honestly. And he's got 30 doubles, 22 home runs. And in a lineup like this, where he's going to have plenty of opportunities to get RBIs. I mean, like I said, he's got 8 RBIs. He had 20 all of last season. And I'll actually even take down the strikeout numbers. This guy's never struck out more than 141 times. He's a pretty decent contact guy. He's never had more strikeouts than games played, which is pretty incredible considering a guy with his powers. So I personally am really excited to see. I think you're right. And a lot of the times, I talk about with baseball, I heard somebody was saying the other day, I was talking to them, they're like, Ellie maybe he's never going to have more value than now, blah, blah, blah. Like, he's probably going to fall off. And the first thing I said to them is, he's 23 years old. A baseball player's prime is generally between the ages of 27 and 33, Joe, generally speaking. People forget baseball players have pretty long careers. Many players that are actually good will play 15 seasons. This guy is right in his prime. He lost a year of it to that injury last year. dude, 29 to 32, bro. Sign me up. I think that this guy is going to be able to get it done in a pretty big way. And like I said, I think he's going to turn a lot of those doubles. I mean, he's only got one double to his 3 home runs already this year, Joe. I think he's going to have a lot more doubles than that. I really, truly believe if there is I don't know, a bet for over under 25 home runs, I think I would take that over right now.
I'd probably be with you. He's just a pure hitter. Like he has power, but he makes contact too. That's how I would classify him. He's not going to wow you in the field. He has made some decent defensive plays. So I won't take it away from
He's
him.
got a
But
good arm
he's
too.
just the guy. He's just the guy you want in the middle of your lineup. You want him to be the guy who hits. Cleaning up different things or padding behind people to protect them. And in a different way, we're taking a risk here because of Hayes having the issues last year, but he's showing that he's back. And what kind of reminded me of is like Jake Fraley. Like he had all those health issues the last couple of years, and last year we saw his power was gone. Now he has 2 home runs. He hit that one onto Utah Street. That's not the easiest thing to do.
No, that
So
ball
that's
was
pretty cool.
smoked.
Maybe he gets back. Maybe he bounces back too. Maybe they're like we get 2 guys. We're a small market team. We can't always get guys who are like nice and like not the greatest. We have to get people who are sometimes bouncing back off of bad seasons, and I don't recommend that as a plan if you can help it because it doesn't always work out this way. But maybe there's some hope for both Fraley and Austin Hayes, and in a way that Austin Hayes can reach all of our hopes and dreams that we had for him when we signed him, and Fraley can have a nice little bounce back too.
Yeah, I mean, jeez. I don't know. I'm sure you probably saw this, but somehow Austin Hayes already has a .6 WAR in 6 games. I mean, that is incredible. And it's not like we're getting another, Aristides Aquino or somebody like that who just goes on a run. Like this guy's been a solid hitter in baseball for years at this point. So, I don't want to again, I don't want to get too hyped, right? I think that there's a lot that we will have to, watch for this year, but he already has the best WAR of all hitters on the Reds team, other than Matt McClain, which shows you he's just also been a little unlucky. But and Austin Wins, by the way, is up to a .5 now, which is better than Ellie De La Cruz. So according to WAR, Ellie has been a worse player than Austin Wins. Just want to throw that out there. But it's it's interesting. It's still early season baseball. We haven't even gotten through the first true month of baseball yet here, Joe. But it does feel like he is that key that unlocks a lot of this lineup. Credit to the front office. We, harp on them a lot, but occasionally, what is the old adage? Blind squirrel in the nut, right? They're gonna find one every once in a while, and it feels like maybe they found one in Austin Hays. Very excited to see him continue to play for this team and hopefully continue to be a really solid hitter. But Joe, I think it's time for us to hop into the Marlins and to the Rockies. So thank you, Austin Hays, for giving us so much excitement this week. The Marlins, Joe, bad team. Pretty bad team to say the least. But the Reds will be going against some of their better pitchers. Max Meyer has been their best pitcher this year. He will be going up against Nick Lodolo, who will have dad power now after the birth of his, I believe, baby girl, another girl in this Reds locker room. Apparently they are full of girl dads. This Reds team continues to be after the last few years even. Then they will be going up against, I believe it's Edward Cabrera versus Nick Martinez. And then Sandy Alcantara versus Brady Singer. Joe, this Marlins team cannot hit very well. Matt Mervis has been a pleasant surprise, but he has not done much outside of hitting home runs. They have some higher-ish average guys. Xavier Edwards is having a good season after being a top prospect for the Rays for a little while there, but he still doesn't have any home runs either. There's not really much to fear. Griffin Conine was doing okay, but he got hurt yesterday, I believe it was. So I don't really know. Like Kyle Stowers maybe is a guy you watch out for a little bit. He's got a good bat, but other than that, I don't really think that there's anybody that this Reds team needs to be all that worried about.
No, this is a game where they're a bad team, and they also have the injuries, like you mentioned, Conine. I think they have 3 position players, starters hurt, and then they have 5 pitchers hurt, 3 starters, 2 bullpen, and good time to be getting them. We're obviously hot, and they are not at full health. this is a lineup that you need your pitchers to be aggressive. For that reason, I'm
Yep.
kind of glad that we have Lodolo, coming back from being a parent. That's cool. Martinez, like hopefully he gets back on the right track. Sometimes you need a get right game. This could be his get right game against the Marlins lineup.
Yep.
And Abbott, I would love to see him be aggressive in this game. I know he gives up home runs, but that's not as big of a threat with this lineup. So
It's
that
Singer.
is what I'm gonna be looking.
Singer's on Wednesday,
According, you
according to
might
the
be probably be
Reds.
right.
According to the
ESPN says Abbott, so you might be right. You might be right.
sorry, Reds.com. Well, MLB.com/Reds have Singer going.
All right. Well, you have Singer. Either way, I like him to be aggressive too. But anyway, all of them need to be aggressive. Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. So then I think you'd be aggressive with all the hitters and our hitters especially. Sandy Alcantara has not had the greatest start to the season.
No.
So while maybe Meyer might be tough for us in game one, I think you can maybe take advantage of this, and I think it could be a very good series for us. Very hard to predict a sweep on the road, and given that we are facing two good pitchers, even if one's not pitching that well, I think 2-1's possible, Rob. I think 2-1 should be the expectation.
Yeah, I would say 2-1 at a minimum. I think you could say 3-0, and I wouldn't really hate that. I think in the world where this Reds team is playing at an average level across all of the games, I think that they sweep this series. It's not like the Miami fans are coming out in droves for this game anyways, so it's not like they're going to have much of a hometown, I don't know, advantage whatsoever with the fans at least. So, yeah, Sandy Alcantara, one of the big trade conversations. You can tell he does not want to be in Miami anymore, Joe. He's got a 7.27 ERA this year. He's walked 10 guys, only struck out 13. His whip is quite high. Most of this team's whip is pretty high. I really think if you kind of just pitch around Kyle Stowers a little bit, you don't give up a home run to Matt Mervis, then I think you can go ahead and just chalk this one up to a win. The Reds still have to go in and play. You can't overlook any opponent, right? You can't do what we're doing kind of where it's just like, they're bad. They still do have 9 wins this year, Joe, but a lot of them were walk-offs. If you remember that series to start the year against the Pirates, a fellow bad team, they had 3 straight walk-offs to win the year. So if you take that series out of it, it's been tough sledding for the Marlins outside of anybody against the Pirates. So we will have to see, but we're going to move on here to the Colorado Rockies, Joe. We don't know for sure who's going to be pitching for them, but the lineup for us looks like Andrew Abbott, Hunter Green, and Lodolo. If it's not Singer in that final game, Singer could be the first one here against the Rockies. Don't really know, but this is not a good team, Joe. They did call up Chase Dollander, who's their first starter, or their big starter, I should say. Probably their best starter as well, outside of Kyle Freeland, who has been having a rough season, but this team gives up a lot of hits. They give up a lot of runs. They are a pretty horrible team. Now, we do unfortunately get them at home. They are 3-6 at home, Joe, 1-11 on the road. But if we're above 500, they have won 1 game against 500 teams. They are 1-12 this season against them. Brenton Doyle is really their only good bat, I would say. Old friend Kyle Farmer's had a pretty solid start to the season as well. Even in that ballpark, though, he still has not hit a home run yet this season. This team weirdly doesn't seem like they can hit all that much. Normally, at least Colorado teams, while they can't pitch, generally they have some, people who can hit. But this team can't. And what's really funny, Joe, is I actually forgot about this. Nick Martini is on the team as well. He has been getting a lot of play time, actually, and still does not have a home run. He's hit okay, though, so good for him. We'll see 2 old friends as we face this team. But, again, we're on the road, Joe. I feel like we'll probably lose a game here just randomly. That just seems to be how it is. But I do think I'd actually be a little more likely to predict a sweep against this team, not only because they have a worse record than the Marlins, but you have Abbott, Green, and Lodolo going against this team. I know Abbott's prone to giving up home runs. Lodolo has been much more of a ground ball guy so far this season. I think if they're going to lose a game, it's going to be Abbott's game at the start of the season or at the start of the series. But we have smoked bad pitching, Joe, and this team screams bad pitching. I I don't want to pick 6-0 this week, Joe, but I will say I think there's a better chance that this team's 6-0s than they have a losing record coming out of it.
Ooh. So if you're not picking 6-0, what are you picking?
I'm going 4-2 to be safe. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
4-2
as
to
I
be
said.
safe, but like I really do think that I fully believe that. You guys can quote me on this. They should have a higher likelihood of winning all 6 games than losing 4 in these 2 series. So I don't know. I think 5-1 isn't out of the question either, to be honest with you. I just don't want to predict a sweep on either of them. I would you know what? I will say overall, I think my overall prediction, I'm not gonna say which sweep it's gonna be, but I think that 5-1 makes sense for this week. That's what I'll do. That's my prediction.
You, you got me. I went 2-1 in the other series. I'm going 3-0 in this one. You mentioned
Hey.
Abbott gives up home runs, but who's he going to give up the home runs to? They're playing the worst the worst ballpark in terms of hitting home runs, and the leader is 3. Like they don't have anyone on this team. It's a team that is, I think, hampered by the fact that they've tried to rebuild at different times, and they don't really fully go through the rebuild. They signed Chris Bryant after they trade Nolan Arenado and everything, and you're just
Yeah, it was a
wondering what
weird.
is the plan for this team, and it's this middle ground. And honestly, we're getting them against like other teams. I say they have some injuries. Austin Gomer as well, who has had some good seasons here and there. Victor Vodnik in the bullpen for them is hurt as well. I watched them play against the Nationals on Saturday in that 12-11 game they had. It was such a shit show. They should win 3-0. If they go 2-1, it's okay. If they lose the series, I will pull my hair out or something because this is a bad baseball team. We need to win this one. Something to watch in this one, I think, specifically our power. I would love to see what Austin Hays does in this ballpark, to be honest, and see if
Yeah.
LA can get something going specifically this week, but specifically this ballpark as well, because he has, as you mentioned, Rob, not been the greatest at the plate yet this season, and while I would like to see him see the ball better and draw more walks and take less strikeouts because it's been pretty bad again this year, maybe we can just get those people to forget about all that stuff by hitting some home runs. So
Yeah.
I'm going 3-0 in this. I'm going 3-0 in this one. I mean, again, they should at least win 2 of these games at the bare minimum.
I do want to say, while I don't love the schedule makers most of the time, thank you, schedule makers, for putting these teams back to back for us again this season. I don't know why that happens, but yeah, that's fine with me. So we'll have to see how the Reds do this week, guys. But before we leave, Joe, you got any wise words of wisdom?
Just a just a couple. You're right, Rob. We need to make a very good progress on this week and next week specifically. We have these 2 weeks where the teams aren't the greatest, and then we get some teams who haven't played the best, but have some potential with the Braves and the Astros in the same
Mm-hmm.
week at the start of May. That's one that could be like, hey, it looks easy now, but when we get there, it could be like, oh shoot, we might be screwed. So that's something to watch out for. Chase Burns was just promoted to Double A, so he's making his
Crazy.
rounds up the minor leagues. He's been pretty good so far. And then I don't know if you saw, Rob, but Ken Griffey Jr. took the picture at the Masters of Rory McIlroy winning it, and he is a good photographer now. Him and Randy Johnson both former Mariners, and I guess Ken Griffey former Red, but taking a lot of good pictures there. So that's cool to see him doing something with his time that seems pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that was pretty awesome. Great picture for sure. One that I'm sure Rory will be very happy about. And yeah, man, I mean, this Reds team has a great opportunity. I mean, if they can find a way to go 9-3 or something like that over these next 4 series, even 8-4, I would say would be really nice for this team, Joe. Put them in a really good position, especially as they continue to try to catch up to the Cubs. But that is going to wrap it up for us on this one, everybody. So enjoy your week, and we'll catch you on the next one.